Welcome to Around the ECHL, brought to you by our friends True by Hilton, the host hotel for the visiting teams as they come to Allen. And of course, this weekend for the home opener, the Rapid City Rush will be in town. Old rivals going back to the Central Hockey League. Unfortunately, my buddy will not be here, the one and only Mark Binetti. Are you, by the way, I always want to say no relation to Jason. You're not kin to Jason Binetti, are you?
I'm not. He spells his name Ben. I spell mine Bin. So,
There you
yeah, we're
go.
off by a letter, unfortunately. Otherwise, lot more doors I think would have been opened up.
Absolutely. Of course, the great Chicago Cubs broadcaster. Well, speaking of great broadcasters, good to have you on with my buddy Maurice Fitzgerald, my partner of 10 years in the booth. It is amazing that we haven't been fined and kicked out of the league in those 10 years. The one thing I love about Maurice, and you know this, Maurice, he is the greatest guy I've ever worked with, no doubt about it. He is the best color commentator in the league, bar none. But he will tell you exactly what's on his mind. And there's been a couple times over the years. We had Joe Babick on earlier this season, and I laughed and I said, "This is the first time we've ever had Maurice, Joe, and I together where Joe wasn't talking about if Maurice doesn't shut his mouth, it's going to be a fine to the Allen Americans." And Joe laughed about that. He thought it was funny because Maurice is who he is, and that's the reason why he is the best in the biz. But we want to talk about the Rapid City Rush. We know you guys have an exciting team. We know what Daniel Tatro can do, great coach. Give us a scouting report here, Mark, on the 2021 Rapid City Rush.
Well, just like you mentioned, Tommy, you know exactly what Coach Tatro is going to bring to the table. His teams, no matter how skilled or how big or small they are, they're always going to work. And their goal is to outwork and grind the other team to a pulp for a full 60 minutes. I think with this team, you get not only that work ethic, but now you've got a nice, real good mix of veteran savvy with returning core in the middle and then a rookie class that's very young, very polished. And can do a lot of damage just based on how they work and how they skate. There's a lot of depth with this team at the forward position, specifically up the middle at center. A lot of very strong centermen win draws, puck possessions 90% of the game. So if you're not chasing it, that means you're dictating it. So I think you're going to see a lot of that come this weekend.
Now, you were talking about the type of team that we're going to see with Tetsi, and he was an intense player and he's an intense coach. What have you seen as far as him as a coach? How have you seen him develop in the few years now that he's been coaching?
I think, a phrase that's used in a lot of things in life is act like you've been there. And coach, every single time he took the bench, acted like he's been there before, both as a player and as a coach. I think as he's faced different situations now heading into his fourth year on our bench, he's starting to grasp what situations take from the respect of the coach and managing the game, managing players. And, it also comes to off the ice, managing your locker room, managing your entire hockey operations department. He's learned to adapt to everything. He's learned to manage everything as every day goes on. It's been very special to watch because you can see that he's always had an analytical mind for the game. And as the year goes on and he applies different principles and employs different systems and brings in different players with a different skill set, he finds a way to really make it mesh well.
This is Mark Binetti, the voice of the Rapid City Rush, joining us here on Around the ECHL. We do this every Tuesday night. We know a lot of the names on your team. Tyler Coulter started in Allen a few years ago, off to a good start. Baptista, remember him, even going back to Wichita, Quenneville. You guys have some really talented players. What are the expectations for this team, Mark? Because you guys had such a good year last year. And I know once you have that great year, fans expect next year you're going to take it to a step further. What are the expectations of Rush fans for your unit you've assembled here for 2021?
Well, the fans are always going to expect a winner. That's what Rapid City's been known for. I know that there were a couple of lean years in between the last playoff appearance and then coming up to this year and even last year, which was a very promising playoff run. I think the expectation is to win, as it should be really for every team. You should always expect to win and get to that next stage and contend for a title. But I think the expectation too, because everybody understands what Coach Tatro's MO is, bringing to the game of hockey is just to work. Every single time the Rapid City Rush take the ice, whether they win by 5, lose by 4, go to 20 rounds of a shootout, the expectation is that the Rapid City Rush, no matter what, will work.
You were talking about this a good rookie class. Now, what of the rookies that you've seen so far in the team, has there been any one or two players that have stood out to you the most?
I think the two in particular, Jake Wallen, the rookie out of St. Cloud State, and then Gabriel Shabbat out of Boston University, absolute energy guys. They're Energizer bunnies out on the ice. They hit hard. They forecheck really well. Jack Suter's another one, too. He just scored his first professional goal on Saturday night in the loss to Utah. He's a rookie out of UMass Amherst. He showed a lot of great potential there. Tyson Empey's a big centerman out of SUNY Geneseo, D3 ranks. Had a great senior year to vault him into his pro career, too. So 4 rookies in particular that they bring energy. They bring a nice physical grit. And they all, in some way, shape, or form, bring that same toolbox of working. I think when I look back to the film on Saturday night, even Friday night in particular against Utah, Shabbat and Wallen were all over the ice, crashing into the corners, retrieving the puck, kicking it back up to the blue line in the offensive zone and really making things work. And then Tyson Empey up the middle was doing some great things, winning some draws. And Jack Suter could play all 3 forward positions. And his goal on Saturday night wasn't a highlight reel goal. He deflected a blue line shot. He worked hard for it, positioned himself well in front of the net, took some punishment, and then he got to keep the puck afterward.
Mark, I know you talked about last year what a great addition Todd Mackin was to the front office and how much he changed not only the environment inside the Rush front office, but in the community as well, trying to convince fans, hey, come back, give us another chance. You know, we're committed to winning here. We're not going anywhere. We've got great ownership now. I had the pleasure of meeting those guys when I was there last year in Rapid City, of course, adding Valerie Persinger from the ECHL front office, who now is running the show there as well. Just talk about how those 2 additions really changed what your whole staff was like, both on and off the ice.
I'll take it a step further, too, with the 3rd edition of Jared Reed as our vice president of sales. That's you talk about a 3-headed monster of leadership. That's exactly what you've got. Valerie and Jared both work tirelessly in the respective departments. Valerie more on the corporate side, Jared more on the ticket sales side to really create a nice cohesiveness between both units in the office. And it all started with Todd. Todd was the one that was able to bring both of them in to the fold. Todd had a great relationship with Jared Reed back from when they used to work for the Mavericks, and then he's obviously always known Valerie. And when the opportunity came that Valerie moved out to the Black Hills, he absolutely jumped on it. You talk about the steal of the offseason. If you could put that moniker on a front office move, that was definitely it. I think the most important thing that Todd brings to the table outside of knowledge and outside of work ethic is a sincerity that I think is very seldom seen these days. He's a man of his word. He's very honest. And when he goes out to these corporate partners, especially when he first got here and he said, hey, things are going to be different, he made sure that they were. And he was a man of his word. He said things were going to be different. And that's exactly what happened. We became a team that worked on the ice. We became a team that worked even more off the ice. We increased our community footprint. And we turned the organization from just a business into a family. I think last year I can honestly say, and this says a lot considering my first 2 years, we had phenomenal teams. We made the playoffs both times, made a heck of a run that second year that we all first joined the ECHL. I think last year had to be my most fun year out of the previous 7 working for the Rush that I've ever had. And it's because every single one of us in the staff became a family member to each other. And that all started with Todd.
Well, speaking of family and all, what have you done since this extended layoff has started? What have you been doing with all the free time you've had?
Well, thankfully, we were all working the entire offseason, trying to get ready for the moment when we would be told that hockey would be coming back to the Black Hills. So a lot of it was kind of touch and go, just, taking it day by day, which I think that's been said a billion times over throughout the entire time that COVID-19's affected us. I'll be completely blunt and transparent. When we first canceled the season and announced that on Saturday night, March 14th, I was emotionally numb for quite some time. One of the most exciting things about working in sports is the unknown of a season, the unknown of a team. Everybody starts off 0-0, and on paper, you can see great things, but as a former Rush coach once famously said, you can't skate on paper. So the excitement of that unknown and can this team win a title? Can this team make a run or not? That's very exciting. But we saw an unknown in sports that was unprecedented and quite honestly nerve-wracking, and it was emotionally numbing to say the least. So you had that moment where you sat it back and you tried to analyze your emotions and you reflect on what was and what was to be. And then at the end of the day, you really just had to sit down, look at yourself in the mirror, put on your game face and go to the office every day and try to work to make it better and control what you could control in the front office. So that's exactly what we did as a team. Exactly what I did for myself, trying to get ready for broadcasts and different players to come in, and then obviously try to look to the next steps and beyond, and see really where we came. And I'm very proud that our team was one of the ones that's playing. I know it's been very tough for other markets and other colleagues of ours that unfortunately have to wait for the next season to come around. But I think I'm very proud of what our team did and all the sacrifices and the time that we put from March to now to make last weekend's home opening weekend an actual reality.
Well, I can tell you this, the Black Hills in Rapid City, South Dakota, one of my favorite spots on the hockey tour. Very underrated town, Rapid City, great people. I love walking around downtown. And of course, one of my favorite establishments, you know what I'm talking about, the rooftop bar there at the Hotel Alex Johnson. Haunted, yes, it is. It was on Ghost Hunters, but it is a great spot. It really is. I always tell people, hey, if you're going to take a trip on the ECHL tour, make sure it's Rapid City. It is in my top 3 favorite spots to go, just because of the people there, the great hotel, the Howard Johnsons, where we've been staying for this is my 12th, well, would be my 12th year. And a lot of those people are still there from year one that remember me and like, man, you've been here for a while. I said, yeah, don't remind me. That just means I'm getting older. But I can tell you this, I'm still having fun. I always enjoy seeing you. Of course, you got me hooked on tea before the game, the hot tea, right? I mean, it always works. I'll miss giving you that this year, but you never know. Things might improve down the road. So look forward to the Rush being in town this weekend, and we'll hear your great call on ECHL TV. And also, are you still doing the radio back there? Is it the rock station is still on with them?
We actually changed stations last year, but we stayed within the same media group. So we went from 100.3 to Fox, which will still do player interviews once a week. We went to KKLS on both AM and an FM frequency on 920 AM and 104.7 FM. So very happy to still be with the Home Slice group. They've been a partner since the beginning with respect to 100.3 the Fox and all the years that we were on there. But they felt that there was an opportunity for us to switch and really increase our footprint with coverage now in 3 states with South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming based on their AM frequency. So very excited about continuing that this year.
All right, Mark, leave us with this. I know you do a great Daniel Tatro impersonation. So take us out with one of your best Tetsi moves. I know you've got a bunch.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start on this one. There was actually, I'm going to preface this one with a story here. I'm going to incorporate a story. So one of my favorite moments, we were in Utah on a road trip, and we had a really bad loss. It was his first year coaching. We had a really bad loss the Friday night, and then Saturday he's trying to get the team fired up. And so I'm up in press row at the Maverick Center. I'm doing my boards, and that was back when I still used to handwrite them. So I had the one from the night before, updating stats, and I was writing my blue pen on my manila folder. And Tets and I were supposed to get lunch that day, so we were going to sit down, talk hockey, the usual thing that I do with Tets. And so he starts snapping on the ice, and he's yelling at the guys, and he's slamming a stick and whatnot. And he gets to the stretch circle at the end, and it looks like he's just trying to fire him up again. And he starts slamming a stick, but he looks intense, looks mad. Goes to the bench, 2 hands the bench, stick goes splintering into a billion pieces. And I'm like, oof, I don't know if I should bug Tets. And so I go down to the room, and I just peep my head just to make sure he's okay. I was like, hey, Tets, everything okay? And he's like, Benner, my darn stick wouldn't break. And I was like sitting here going, what? And he's like, I was trying to break the stick. I wanted to fire up the boys. So what's for lunch?
Oh man, that's
going,
great.
All right, cool. He's in an okay mood. He's in a good mood. Then we ended up winning that night too, so it was pretty neat. It was a good time. One of the many stories and trials and tribulations of the Tetinator.
He is greatness. A good friend. I still talk to him quite a bit, and as you, Mark. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun to have you on with my buddy Maurice. Don't call me Ella Fitzgerald. This is the Around the ECHL podcast, brought to you, of course, by our friends at True by Hilton. Boys, Mark, if I don't see you before, have a Merry Christmas. Mo, I will see you on Friday night.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tommy.